Welcome back, DIYers. Inside this box here's a new tool that I want to share with you. As part of that, I'm going to go over why I bought this particular model. I'm going to go over the features of this tool. I'm going to kind of briefly touch on some of the maintenance of it that's not necessarily covered in the manual. Then I'm going to talk to you about why I have two similar functioning tools in my tool shed. So what is this tool, you ask? Well, let's get it unboxed and find out. Now, before I do that though, once you see this, you're going to look at it and go, oh, that's for professionals. I'm not a professional by any means. And if you watch this video, you'll see that no, the DIYer can use this. You can use it very easily, very well, and get professional results. So let's get this box opened up and show you what I bought. Yeah? As you can see, first time out of the box, haven't got anything unwrapped. Now, first thing I want to tell you right off the bat, make sure you do this, unless you already own one of these, know everything about it, is read the instructions. It comes with instructions for the gun, and it comes with instructions for the machine itself. And I read them, and make sure you read them. In this particular situation, you need to read those. I know we're men, we usually don't read them, but you really should. Okay, so as you see here, I got the Titan 440 Impact, what they call the skid sprayer. Now they make a high bore, which is just what it is. It's higher up and it's got wheels. And they make another like skid version that's short like this, but I think it has wheels on it also. Now, like I said, this is a professional machine, but don't let that scare you. Please don't let that scare you. So this particular one is the 440. They make a 410, they make a 540, and I think a 640, and it keeps on going. And naturally they get more expensive as you go up, and more bells and whistles. So why did I choose the 440 over, say, the 410 or the 540? Well, the 540 is a beast, I can tell you that, and it costs quite a bit more, probably $800 more than this one did. And so I really didn't want to spend that much, and I didn't need that much machine. How do I know it's a beast? Well, when I was painting the exterior of my house, which I'll talk to you about here in a minute, I was having issues with my other sprayer, which I'll talk about that in a minute also, and I had to go to the rental store and rent one. And the first one they gave me was a 440, but it was dirty. And here again, where you read the instructions and listen to what I'm saying when I get to the part about maintenance, because they don't talk about it in the instructions. It was dirty and I couldn't get it clean, so I took it back, and the other one they gave me, which hadn't even been rented yet, was the 540, and it was in the tall highboy version where it had wheels. And let me tell you, that thing worked absolutely beautiful, and it is a beast of a machine. So I really didn't need that much, and I didn't want to spend that much. Now, so when I finally tell you the price of this, it's going to be out of some of your DIY ranges, and you may decide to go with another brand, and that's okay. But at the same time, buy once, try once, and I wish I'd have done that, because now I'm trying twice. So first, let's talk about why I got the 440 over any of the others. One, the 410. Let's compare it to the 410 because they're pretty similar. As I just said, the 540 was a beast, but I'll put up some comparisons there. I'll have them here on the screen or here or somewhere on the screen so you can read along as I'm talking. So the 410 is rated at 0.47 gallons per minute. 440 is 0.54 gallons per minute, and the 540 is at 0.6 gallons per minute. Now, as far as the pressure goes, the 410 only goes to 3,100. Whereas the 440 and the 540 are both 3,300, and I didn't want that extra 200 pounds of pressure. Now the next thing has to do with the tip size. 410, the max tip size on it is a 0.021, whereas this here is a 0.023, and the 540 is a 0.024. Not much difference there. As far as the motor, a little bit of difference. The 410 has a 3/4, this here is rated at 7/8, and the 540 is a 1.2 horsepower motor. 410 is rated at 50 to 75 gallons per day, whereas this one here is rated from 50 to 100, and the 540 is 75 to 100 gallons of paint a day. Now, as far as the guns are considered, this is what they call a RX-80. That comes with the 440 and the 410, but when you get up into the 540 or any of the higher models, you get the RX Pro version. of the gun. They all come with a 1/4 inch 50-foot hose. Now, for any of you that have been watching the channel, you've seen me do a review of a Titan airless sprayer that was considered a highboy because it had the wheels. So why did I switch back to the skids version? Well, honestly, the highboy was kind of now it works great for like 5-gallon paint buckets because they'll hook on and you can walk around with them and wheel it around and that sort of thing. It works great. But when it comes to the gallon, it's kind of a pain in the butt. I decided to get the skid version. It's a little cheaper than the highboy because of that. Because that way, all I use is a gallon. I can grab the gallon of the paint, the sprayer, and move it around where I need to. So as far as features on this, let's compare it to the 410. Because honestly, that's the difference as to why I bought this versus the 410. Number one is it comes with a self-oiling mechanism. You undo this cap, you put the oil that comes with it in there, and then as you use it, there's a button on this side where you just push 3 or 4 times. It oils the piston and everything, and on you go. And you don't have to worry about it. Whereas the other one's kind of sealed up, and it's not as convenient as far as I'm concerned. Now, both of them have the little ball release button down here, because there's a little ball in here for the valve when you go from prime to paint. And by pushing this, it releases that ball so you know that you're going to get your sprayer working. The other thing is this one has a digital, I'm going to say a digital readout. It doesn't really read out the exact pressure, but it gives you an idea. Whereas the other one is on, and you just turn the knob and away you go. This one at least, yeah, now I've got electronics that I got to worry about that could go bad. But I mean, again, this is a DIY. I'm not painting 50 gallons a day. I've got to worry about this. This machine is going to last me the rest of my life. And for some of you that are, way younger than I am, getting this machine, unless you're painting as a professional, this machine too should last you the rest of your life. So again, buy once, cry once. I wish I'd have listened to my own advice and bought once instead of crying twice. But anyhow, this one here, you can turn the knob and it has kind of a range to tell you where you're at. So if it's flashing yellow, it's 200. If it's a solid yellow, you're from 900 to 2000. And if it's a green, it's 1900 to 3300. The other thing is this also has, when you turn it all the way back, it has a cleaning mechanism that helps clean it out. So it was those features that sold me on this machine. Now, cost. I know you're all wanting to know about cost. I bought this from Paint Life Supply Company, and I'll have a link down below. And as of the making of this video, it was on sale, and I got it for $983. Now, some of you are going, I know, it's a lot of money. But if you're going to do a lot of spraying, which I plan on doing, I'm spraying the whole outside of my house, I've got insides of the house I'm going to spray, I've got projects like kitchen cabinets and vanities and stuff that I'm going to spray, and I'm going to use this. So, it might be a little overkill, but for me, again, I wish I'd have bought once and cried once instead of twice. So even with shipping from me down here in Texas, and it's up in Idaho, it was 45 bucks. That alone was cheaper than anywhere else I could find. My discount even at Sherwin-Williams wasn't that good. On eBay, even with free shipping, it still wasn't that good. Now let's just talk about the gun for a second. It's a nice gun. Feels good in the hand. This particular one is a 2-finger trigger. Now when you step up into the higher models after the 440, you can get the choice of a 4-finger or a 2-finger trigger. And like I say, it comes with the RX Pro versus just the plain RX 80. Now, as all of them, they come with a tip. This one comes with a 517. The nice thing about this gun is that there's a filter inside of it. That is a nice thing. And this is your wrench to get the filter off. And you can get different filters go in here from extra fine to coarse. Now, I have a white filter in here, and I believe that's just a medium filter. But you can use this wrench to unscrew the gun. And here's your filter. As you can see, it's a white. It just sits down inside here. And as part of the cleaning after each use, make sure you clean this filter. So that's kind of a nice feature. Your paint gets filtered here. It gets filtered to the machine, which I'll show you, and then it gets filtered at the gun. And if you're smart, you filter your paint. So you get 4 filterings before you spray it, so it should be pretty clean. So when you go to clean, this can come off of here. So you can clean this filter really good. Put it back on, nice heavy filter. So this is your uptake tube, and this is your priming tube. And you'll just turn this, put it in your gallon of paint. You see it moves around, put it in your paint wherever you need to. It can go in a 1 gallon, it can go in a 5 gallon, whatever you need. The other thing that's really nice about this machine that the 410 didn't have was a filter for the machine. And this is where you need to pay attention, because this is not an instruction manual, which I found kind of shocking. So on this particular machine and the 540 that I used, this here is a filter. This here houses the filter and paint. If you do not take this off when you clean, you're going to have a royal pain in the butt the next time you use it. How do I know? Well, back when I said I rented the 440 from the rental store machine, I had to take it back because it wasn't clean. It's because of this. And at the time, I didn't know anything about these machines enough to know that, nor did the person at the rental store, so remember that. But this filter comes off and houses a fair amount of paint, so you've got to clean this after each use. I ran easy 20 gallons through that other sprayer and never got it clean, and this is why. But this filter comes out, clean this, and like I say, it holds quite a bit of paint. So pour it back and recover your paint, but make sure you clean this. Because if you don't, this machine will never be clean, and when you go to paint again, whatever you painted with last is going to show up in your new paint. So this is a DIY pro tip. But it's also a nice feature. And then, like I say, it comes with a 50-foot hose. Now this particular machine, I believe it said you can run as much as 300 foot of hose on it. I have no reason to have that much hose. So now we've kind of gone over the machine as to why I bought this one and the features and the differences and all that. Why did I buy a second machine? All right, now to answer the question, why do I have 2 of them? Well, funny story, not. So I've done 2 videos with this machine. One was the unboxing and showing you how to use it, and 2 where I spray sealed my brick with it. Now for that video and that purpose, this thing worked absolutely wonderful. Sprayed that stuff beautifully. I got no complaints at all about it. Well, then it come time to primer the house, and it shot the primer on there, and you know, actually it sprayed a really good job at spraying the primer on. I really can't complain. But the problem was I was having to turn the tip back and forth quite a bit to unclog it. It would clog a bunch. Next day it was time to paint the body of the house. Got it all set up, wouldn't spray. I had this up to 5, wouldn't spray. It would spray just a little bit and be done. I had to unclog the tip, put it back, spray just a hair and be done. I went in as far as putting a 619 tip on. Didn't make a difference. I went through and even diluted the paint, maybe, let's say 10% at most. And you can do up to 20% is what they've told me with that Sherwin-Williams paint. Not a difference, not one difference. So I thought, well, crap. It's got to be my gun and tip. They're bad. Something happened when I used the spray sealer, screwed the gun and the tip up. So I put everything up, ordered a new gun, new tip, set everything back up, remasked everything off again. It was a nice sunny day, supposed to be like 80 that day. I got to spraying. I got maybe a 5x5 area sprayed. It was heavy. To get it to spray, it was very heavy. I had to actually go back over it with a brush and thin it down because I had runs, and it just didn't work. And I'm beside myself. I got everything ready. It's an 80-degree day. The next day is going to be cold. I got to get something done. Well, that's where I went to the rental store and rented the 540, and it did a beautiful job painting this place. Beautiful. So what's the problem? Problem is this just doesn't provide enough pressure to spray that thicker paints. Now, if I wanted to dilute it more, it probably would do it, but I didn't want to dilute it more because then I worried A, runs, B, would it dilute the color. So as far as this machine's going, with heavy paints, it's a bust. It just doesn't have enough pressure. And if I'd have listened to what I read on the paint cans and listened to that voice in the back of my head, I'd have known this wouldn't work, because it says right on the paint can, a minimum 2,000 PSI. Well, the max this does is 1,600. Rather, it'll work, no problem. Well, it didn't. So I'm keeping this machine. First I thought I'd throw it out to the trash bin, but it still works. I'll keep it. I can use it for primers. I can use it for thinner paints and things like that. Now, as far as the overspray, I'm not so sure that this thing has less overspray than this does. And I'll do a comparison when I paint with this and see what kind of overspray I look at with this, and then go back and look at the video of where I sprayed the brick with this and see what kind of overspray issues I have. But I have a feeling that their advertisement on this as being low in overspray is not correct. So with that aspect, as an entry DIY machine, I'm going to have a hard time recommending it, unfortunately. Like I said, I'm going to keep mine for the reasons I said, but if you don't have one and looking to buy one, I would say move on. And while this costs twice the money, and it's a professional machine, and you're just DIYing, I would spend your money and get this machine. The other thing about this is the gun is only specific for this machine, as are the tips. They're not interchangeable. This machine doesn't come with a filter in it like this one does. The gun doesn't come with a filter and can't be rebuilt either. This is kind of a use it up till it don't work anymore and throw it away kind of a machine. Whereas this here, like I say, is professional. It can be rebuilt and used forever. So that's why I wound up buying another machine. Like I said, should have listened to my own advice and bought once and cried once. Instead, I'm crying twice. So with that, let's get this all ready, put it in some paint, see how it sprays, and then we'll come back and do a wrap up. All right, now I've put about 12 gallons of paint through this sprayer. I've used it to paint the body of my house. I used it to spray primer on the trim. I used it to paint my trim. I used it to paint the garage door here. I also used it to paint my front door. And it did a beautiful job. I have no complaints there. Now the finishes I have are satin finish, so they're not going to have that glossy mirror reflection to them. But you can see I got a nice finish on all those projects using this sprayer. So let's talk about ease of use. Very easy to use. I mean, all you have to do is put your feed tube and primer tube in your paint, put it on primer, wait till it's primed up, switch to spray, load up your hose and your gun, and away you go. Very, very simple, very simple. Now, as far as how to use it and to spray and get a good finish, there is a small learning curve there, and I do have a video that's going to be coming out pretty soon on that. And so please subscribe and hit the bell notification so when it comes out you'll know. But as far as just set up and clean up, very easy. Now cleanup's a pain regardless of whether you use this machine or any machine. And I say a pain just because, well, it's cleanup. But it took me about 15-20 minutes each time to clean, which may seem excessive to some of you, but I'm pretty anal about making sure the machine's very clean before I'm done. I especially like the cleaning mode on the dial here, because what it does is it flushes and back flushes. It basically runs a pump forward and backwards to help flush out all the paint out of the machine. Very nice. I like the adjustability of the pressure itself. It was very easy to use, and once you got it dialed in, man, did it work well. I really like the self-oiling feature here, and I call it self-oiling. It's not really, you got to push a button, but in any case, all I have to do is take this little cap off here, make sure my reservoir is full, and then after each use I give the button a couple pushes and it's lubed and ready to go for the next time. Whereas on the 410 you've got to manually do it, which is an extra step, which is not as easy and you're not as likely to do. Whereas this couple pushes, I'm done. Very easy to do. Use of the gun, very easy. Pull the trigger. Very easy to adjust whether you want your spray pattern this way or you want your spray pattern this way. The ease with which the tips come out, very easy. The ease with which you can turn the tips to unclog, very easy. I wound up using 4 different tips with this gun. I used a 215, I used a 317, a 515, and the 415 here to spray on the house. I also used a fine finish 208 when I sprayed the door, and worked very well through all those tips, no problems. I also used a short extension on the gun. Very easy, very nice, sprayed very well. And when it comes to cleanup In fact, I honestly found this machine here a little easier to clean than I did my HEA. And the reason is because of it being a high boy. In order to get this tube out of the bucket of water to flush into another one, you've got to pick it up to do it, which is kind of a pain. So I really have no complaints about the machine, the gun, the hose, or anything. If I had a druther or a ruther or a complaint, it would be the hose. And I wish it came in a shorter length. I'd like to see at least a 25, maybe even down to a 15 footer. And the reason is like when I was painting the garage door or the front door, I don't need 50 foot of hose out here to get in my way. 15 to 25 feet would have been plenty. And two, it takes about 24 ounces to load the machine and the hose up before you can start spraying. And that's quite a bit of paint coming out of a gallon can. So I think with a shorter hose, you could cut that hopefully by half and have a lot less paint that you have to worry about wasting. Now, as an entry DIY machine, definitely. This is a professional machine. It's used by many professionals, but as a DIYer, very easy. You can do this. If you're wanting to spend just a little bit of extra money, this is the machine I would say get. If you want, you could go down to the 410. You'll have to kind of weigh out which ones you want, but I would definitely recommend this. And as of the taping of this video, Titan's having a promotion if you buy this machine or some of their others. I don't know about the 410, but some of their higher end machines are having a promotion that you can get free product. And one of them was these fine finish tips. So I got 4 fine finish tips for free. And these tips are about $30, $35 a piece, the Titan brand. Or you could get extra standard tips, which I bought myself. And there's some other products you can choose from. I thought that was a very nice added bonus. If you're not wanting to spend this much money, you could get this. Just know you're going to have to use thinner, more watery paints to go through this machine. But if all you're going to do is some clear finishes and a thinner, less expensive paint, this is a good machine for that. You can get into it very cheap and away you go. The only thing is this machine's more designed as a disposable. You use it up, and when it doesn't use anymore, you just throw it away because it's not repairable. Whereas this machine here, this one's designed when you buy it once and you're done. For a DIYer, you'll probably never ever have to have another machine as long as you take care of it. And if you want to learn a little more about the setup and the cleaning of this pump, we've got a video right here that I put out. You can go watch and see that. But until then, see you on the next project, and happy DIYing.